the funeral of Elizabeth II, Queen Elizabeth II. And we've seen the reaction across the world, especially across Africa, as we saw in the news clip. What is your take on her death and the reaction of Africans?
Well, thank you, Rudolf, and good day, friends and viewers from across the world. Let me start this way. Queen Elizabeth is a very important personality in modern history, so to say. But she was the queen of a country that was an empire that colonized half the globe. And most of the countries colonized by Britain was in Africa. And we have to know that colonialism everywhere is a very violent enterprise. It killed people. It committed genocide in many instances. Welded nations together that had nothing to do with each other. Well, it was equally a stealing enterprise. We saw the British monarchy, knighting, pirates. And so when it comes to Africa, there is an increasing realization that the plight of many African nations today is traceable to our encounter with British colonialism. We see that from Kenya through South Africa to Nigeria. So that young Africans are reacting and not mourning the Queen is understandable on one part. Victims of history never forget. Oppressors may forget, but victims never forget. So it is in our collective memory that we never had it good under colonialism, and our present plight as Africans today is traceable to the effects of colonialism. And unfortunately, the Queen was a monarch of what was a colonial empire. So you can understand the young Africans who are now questioning the validity of those who are asking Africans to mourn a queen who headed an enterprise that colonized, subjugated, and sometimes committed genocide on their soil. So Africans could be understood there.
Now, okay, so but there are also a group of Africans who are feeling that it's been a long time ago, 60-something years, that we should move forward, we should move on, we should let the past be in the past, and that the people that took over have not done well, that we can't just be blaming the people who were here in Africa 100 years ago. What do you think about that?
Well, my take is very simple. It is simplistic to think that history doesn't matter. History is the basis of everything that we have. So whoever controls your history controls your future and your destiny. So they both are not mutually exclusive. British colonialism inflicted untold violence on our people. Take, for example, Nigeria. Nigeria is not even it's not a country. This is a collection of nations. British colonialism came and welded this together without any thinking about what will happen to these peoples that had no cultural similarities, that had no history together. But they welded us together and asked Nigerians find the way out of it. And the present mess is traceable to our history and encounter with colonialism. In as much as the present day African rulers have even outclassed the colonialists in greed, in thievery, and all whatnot. But the trajectory started with colonialism because Chinua Achebe made it clear in some of his aces. Colonialism is the greatest insult any people could inflict on another. Telling the people that you are not worth anything, we are here to show you civilization, the white man's burden. But that civilization was, Africans saw that as salvagery. So our present predicament today is traceable to that our leaders, whom did the British hand over power to? They handed over power to their houseboys who learned nothing outside colonizing their own people along the same lines that the British colonized us. So it is still the same thing. Anybody who has read Franz Fanon will equally see that colonialism destroyed the African psyche. We are seeing the effects today. That black man doesn't feel that he is worthy to stand shoulder to shoulder with the white man in the Committee of Nations. This is traceable to the psychological damage that colonialism inflicted on us. They told us that we never accepted it willingly. We were brutalized into accepting that. We were sold as slaves. Okay, so when people say it's now that we should move on, 60 years is nothing when one recounts history. It took societies more than that to recover from such intergenerational trauma. inflicted by enterprises like colonialism. So anybody that comes out to say the president is just excusing colonialism because of the bad governance we're experiencing today, our leaders, post-independence leaders, messed it up. Quite right. We have they own a huge chunk of the blames, but we cannot, say that colonialism. Oh yeah, we should just ignore the fact. History is pretty important. Chinua Achebe said, "Those who don't know where the rain started to beat them will never know where it's going to stop." So we have to understand that our history is important, take cognizance of it, and work towards a better future for our country. We should hold our leaders responsible for their misgovernance, for their thievery. And even today, colonialism has not even ended. Some people use the word neocolonialism. Many of these nations, many of these former colonial masters are still teleguiding African destinies from their metropoles. We see that in the Francophone Africa. We see that equally in Nigeria. There were revelations during when WikiLeaks made her cables available online that Shell BP, a British company, is still the shadow government of Nigeria. Everybody can read that. So they still have their hands in our affairs. When they say that we are independent, sometimes you question whether many African countries are actually independent. You can blame us on one side for allowing that to happen, but we cannot exonerate colonialism and the colonial enterprise from the blame. And the psychological trauma that it inflicted on us is unmeasurable. That's what many Africans forget. That you could see many young people bleaching their skin, okay, showing, hey, I want to be white. Why would anybody want to be white? Why would anybody want to change? It's because of the effects of the psychological damage that was bequeathed on us as a legacy by colonialism. So you could see when Africans are rising today to say we have to start asking questions, interrogating our reality. It didn't start today. It started with our encounter with a force that was more powerful than we are. We became Christians at the instance of colonialism. Many of our gods, African gods, are resting in colonial museums today. Okay, so and we are answering English names. An Englishman will not answer Okeke, Okafo, Kayode, or whatever, but we are answering foreign names. We are worshiping foreign gods. We are wearing foreign clothes that had nothing. If you see an African sweating with coat and tie under the African sun, all this, because we lose sight of the salient and important things that colonialism actually did. It's not all bad. Where people could say, they brought us education. Quite right. But Africans were having trade links with North Africa, where that was a cradle of Western civilization before the colonial masters came. So we don't have to exonerate colonialism. We have to condemn it outright. No human person, Immanuel Kant said it, no man should use another human person as a means to an end. Colonialism used us as means to ends, the ends being to enrich their societies, the ends being to dehumanize us. Because for them to actually colonize us, we have to be dehumanized. We have to be made as less than human. We have to carry them on our shoulders, literally. So colonialism inflicted a lot of damage on the African. That's why I urge young African students to read more of people like Frantz Fanon. He did a wonderful analysis in The Wretched of the Earth. It didn't leave us unscathed. We were heavily damaged in our psyche by colonialism. And that's why today, where do we run to? We run to Western capitals. We ape Western imperial monstrosities, even in our governments that don't even mean that don't even agree with our structures as Africans. We import them hook, line, and sinker and try to implant them on our soil. And what happens? We see the dysfunction.
All right, we're going to get into Nigeria and the government of African nations, but let me ask you, what should be the reset? People are saying that now that we have Prince Charles, King Charles III, that African nations should have a kind of a reset with the European nations and especially the British monarchy. If you are to meet with King Charles, I might have to get that right, King Charles, what are you going to say to him? Will an apology be enough? Will a return of stolen items be enough? What kind of relationship do you want to see?
Well, first of all, people should start thinking about reparations for Africans. It's not only apologies don't do anything. You give us an apology, but you are still holding on to stolen goods. London Museum is filled with stolen African artifacts. They should start thinking about returning most of those. Apologies, yes. Reparations, okay? You know, it is the history of colonialism is a scandalous history, which Africans should actually, read and understand what colonialism did to us. It's not that I am trying to exonerate African leaders. When we talk about reset, history has happened, yes, but there should be a token to show that, hey, we are sorry for what our ancestors did. We didn't do it, but our ancestors did. This is one of the excuses that people will offer to the colonial enterprise. But the point lies in the fact, as Seneca said, he who profits from crime is guilty of it. Many of them are profiting today from the crimes committed by their ancestors. Okay, that we are being exploited today, that Africans couldn't even establish any industries except as primary raw material producers, is thanks to, even today, they use the World Trade Organization is being used to maintain the structure that actually, tips the balance towards European nations that are already developed. So they should start thinking about reparations and then trying to give Africans an opportunity to actually come into their own. And then they should stop teleguiding African affairs from the Western capitals. That should be a start. Apologies are not enough. Reparations, they should start thinking about it, actually. Because you cannot decimate a whole continent and then wake up tomorrow and say, I'm sorry.
What does it okay, let's look at this. Also, we have in the West here, in America here, we had this professor Uju Anya, who came out and was very critical of the West, or the British establishment, especially when she talked about the Queen. What do you think about her argument and the cases she's been making on social media?
Rudolf, I know you would draw me into this controversy.
No, it's not a controversy. It's something that people are discussing everywhere.
Okay. What I have to say is that I am not Uju Anya, and I wouldn't have said it the way she said it, but her arguments are valid. Anybody who criticizes her arguments, is not looking at it from the perspectives of the victims. Okay, the oppressors have another perspective altogether. They don't believe that, the oppressors don't believe that you are human. So that's why they inflict pain on you, and then they sell you into slavery, because for them you are subhuman. You are just a little bit less than more than an animal to be treated anyhow. Uju Anya was spot on. I wouldn't have wished another human being a painful and excruciating death, but I would have criticized colonialism and the colonial enterprise that the Queen sat atop, exactly the same way she did. Britain was a thieving and colonizing empire. That's the fact. That she said it is not something new. Every historian that has ever studied this issue has returned the same verdict. That's colonialism. So, but I wouldn't have put it the way she did, and at the time she did. But she raised a pretty important, she set a pretty important discussion in motion. England should start thinking about how the world sees it. The victims never forget. The oppressors may have, their kids may have, but their kids are still holding on to stolen goods and stolen legacies. So Uju Anya was spot on. Today, at least people are discussing it. At least Africans are coming to know. Oh, so we have to talk about our own pain. Who gave Africans the opportunity to talk about their own pain? The pain of their history? Nobody. On the global platform, nobody. Africans are being treated as a place where we could give a few pennies for charity and then everything is settled. It's a monumental insult on the humanity of the African. Okay, so that Uju Anya has started this discussion. It's a discussion that should be held across so many levels and across so many forums. She has started a very important movement, and Africans should take this opportunity to actually tell their own stories themselves. And this is one of the things why I love and respect Chinua Achebe as one of our greatest sons. He told the Europeans, Africans are not savages. We were not savages before you came. We had functioning societies that had their own governments, that had their own ethical values before you came. That was why he called Joseph Conrad a bloody racist. And Things Fall Apart was a refutation of that racism, or that what I call racist anthropology that designated the African as a savage to be civilized by the civilized savagery of Europe.
Now, last week I had Paikide on this show, and he
Oh, my friend.
essentially dismissed all of you public intellectuals as not relevant to the Africans. His opinion was that you all are in the West,
Okay.
writing books that nobody can afford,
Mhm.
that you don't get to weigh in on African issues until maybe something like the Queen died. Then we heard about Uju Anya. Where was Uju Anya? Why is it that she wasn't involved in the conversation in a way that Africans at home and across the world, we know that this is what she's pushing for until the Queen dies and then she comes out to tweet. That's his position. What do you think?
Well, if Paikide is my good friend, I would have loved to be on the same program with him. Unfortunately, you didn't invite me to that. I understand Paikide's arguments. I understand his accusations. But you have to know that most of, it is his personal opinion that there are many African intellectuals that are working, okay, and their works are being read by Africans that Paikide is not aware of. And this is the major reason why myself and my late close friend, Professor Pius Adesami, we decided to stop writing journal articles that just gather dust in journals that people, that are hidden behind paywalls and people don't read. That let us engage Africans on platforms like Facebook, social media. And we got down there. And we gathered a few followings. Some few Africans are reading us there. Okay, like Paikide as well. We all have been interacting there. Many African intellectuals are asking serious questions. Many African intellectuals are leading, public intellectuals are equally leading conversations that are beyond the ordinary, and they're trying to make their own contribution to the continent. What Paikide forgets is that many African intellectuals are in the West. It's not because that many of them wanted to be in the West. It's because of the circumstances of their home countries that pushed them there. And all this are traceable to colonialism. Even Chinua Achebe in the early 60s and 50s, in The Man of the People, he equally painted the corruption of the African society that we are saying today. It was already there then, where the African rulers have been attacking intellectuals. Achebe had to flee for his life because after writing about the coup, fictionally, the soldiers came for him thinking that he was a part of a coup plot. So since then, African leaders, African tyrants have been uncomfortable with African public intellectuals and have been trying to hurt and harm many of them. So yeah, a lot of us are in the West plying our trade, but that doesn't mean the centerpiece of our public intellection has been the African continent. And that's the perspective from which our work should be appreciated. I agree with Ikeda that we're not doing enough. I agree with Ikeda that most times our voices are silent when they should be loud. I agree with Ikeda that we should be screaming from the rooftops against some of our own leaders. I agree with all those. Many of us are doing that. Not everybody could be categorized under African intellectuals that keep quiet and not leading the conversation when the issue is at stake. We are.
Okay, I know you are. And last month you published an article in Premium Times. You titled it, "I Don't Envy Nigeria's Next President." The first line of the article is, "I don't envy Nigeria's next president, that whoever steps into Aso Rock on the 29th of May 2023 will inherit a country that is a disastrous setup." Now, let me say this. Olusegun Obasanjo, former president, made a speech recently where he essentially warned that if we get it right, if we get it wrong next year, things might be out of control. Not just him, several people have said that. And I know that the worst thing that could happen is the danger of genocide in Nigeria. And I know you are head of your department. One of the things you run is you're the director for the prevention of genocide in Africa. Do you fear, when you think about the worst thing that could happen to Nigeria, how much fear do you have about genocide?
Well, Rudolph, the facts on the ground are that genocide is already taking place in central and middle belt Nigeria. The Fulani militia are murdering indigenous peoples across the middle belt, and nobody's doing anything about it. Our government has been looking on. So my organization, the CSI, Christian Solidarity International, here in Switzerland, issued a genocide warning in 2020. And we wrote even a letter to President Muhammadu Buhari. So people are being slaughtered almost every other day for who they are, because they are farmers, natives, and Christians, by the Fulani militia. And this Fulani militia, they are armed to the teeth for their detail. So when coming to what Obasanjo said, anybody who has been a casual watcher of Nigeria knows that the danger is there. The country has not been this fragmented. Okay. Even if just look at the campaign rhetoric, the campaigns have not started, but look at the rhetoric. People have now taken refuge in their tribal cocoons. Okay. It's our turn. If you don't agree with our candidate, you should leave Lagos for us. You hear such rhetoric. And this is the rhetoric out of which genocide, the songs of genocide are composed. And if we don't watch it, if we don't get it right in 2023, Nigeria will be, what happened in Rwanda may be a child's play in comparison to what will confront Nigeria going forward. Because a lot of non-state actors are armed. We see the bandits in the Northwest. These bandits are now the lords of the Maino. They kidnap people in their homes. They kidnap people on the roads. They kidnap people on the trains. They even invade airports to kidnap people. So in the Southeast, we have secessionist agitation. In the Southwest, secessionist agitation as well. And then that in a country like Nigeria, on a Sunday morning, on a Pentecost Sunday morning, that armed men could walk casually into a church in Owo in Ondo State and slaughter 40 people who are praying, who committed no crime apart from the fact that they are praying on a Sunday morning in a country like Nigeria. So if Christians arm themselves, or if the people in the Southwest arm themselves to retaliate, it will be an orgy of violence, blood, and bloodletting. So, and these are all scenarios that could happen in Nigeria if we don't get it right, if we don't watch our rhetoric, because we are weaponizing the rhetoric of this time and even the narratives. So Obasanjo is right on the money. He should be in the know. He gets security briefings almost every other day as an ex-president. So he knows what he's talking about, and the facts agree with him. Nigeria is on the brink of implosion. Nigeria is really on the brink of implosion. So if we don't watch it this time, genocide, what happens in Rwanda, may be a child's play. That's the way I'm saying it. I want, last time I was in Nigeria 2 years ago, and at a radio interview, I said, we should watch the way. And the government of the day is not even helping matters. The government of the day is showing itself unwilling or incompetent to take the bulls by the horn and then to stop most of these issues that, so that's the major problem. And Obasanjo is right, like I said. So the politicians are well advised, should be well advised to watch the rhetoric, because it could inflame passions. And when passions are inflamed, people take leave of their senses and then slaughter their neighbors for nothing.
Okay, now looking at the candidates who are running to be president come 2023, is there anyone that gives you hope, or that they understand how serious the issue is?
Yes, of course. I have to say that the arrival of Mr. Peter Obi on the scene has changed the trajectory of Nigerian politics. Before, it used to be that these guys are going to buy the votes and they know that they can rig the elections and get away with it. So they come during election times with what they call stomach infrastructure, which is their food, rice, and bread to feed the people that they've neglected the whole 4 years of their reign, and then so that they could buy the votes. We saw a lot of money, dollars. Nigeria is a country that uses naira. We don't use dollar. But during the APC presidential primaries and this PDP presidential primaries, it was just, they were buying political sea money. They were buying votes like there was no tomorrow. So, which is to say that these guys don't regard their electorates. For them, the electorate don't matter. For them, Nigerians don't matter. What matters is the price that they are after, which is the presidency, because they know the Nigerian presidency is such an imperial construct that anybody who captures it has captured the state. And this is where I see reform. That Nigeria needs serious reforms in this area. So Peter Obi changed the narrative. At least he's now forcing people to start talking about the issues that matter to Nigerians, talking about lack of power supply, that Nigerian economy is in shambles. He's now talking about what we can offer the people, not what we can take away from the people. So Peter Obi is changing the narrative. And no little wonder that the young people are massively supporting his campaign. He's a guy that says he's not paying anybody to vote for him. And it seems to resonate with the people, because 2 days ago or yesterday, Nigeria was on its feet. Across major states in the country, there were rallies, massive rallies in support of the Obi's vision. So this is something that is encouraging. Nigerians are ready, especially the young people of Nigeria who have been abandoned in hopelessness for quite some time. It seems they are now ready to stand up and be counted, to take back their nation from the old brigade that have actually ruined Nigeria, across all indices.
All right, just to announce for our viewers that in 30 minutes, we are going to get them involved in this conversation. We are going to post the link for them to join us. If you have any question for Franklyne, you can then ask him. Okay. Okay. So let's look at this. I know that in 2012 you published a book on the ethical and ecological assessment of companies in Nigeria. It's been 10 years. How has it been? Did that make any change? Did anybody take interest in the ethical and ecological assessment of, did Shell change the operation and the model?
Thank you for the question. That book arose out of my doctoral thesis at the University, Johann Wolfgang Goethe University in Frankfurt. 12 years later, I have edited another book, another collection that is equally in print. I don't know why Amazon is not capturing that. And I have 3-4 other manuscripts that are with the publishers at the moment as I'm speaking with you. Since then, the Niger Delta is still an ecological wasteland. Shell has not even changed one bit. When we talk about ethical and ecological assessment of companies in Nigeria, how many companies are ethical in their operations? How many companies respect the culture of the place they are doing business in? How many companies respect the future of the people? How many companies have centered Nigerians as their greatest shareholders, or Nigeria's environment as the greatest shareholders? So there is a need for a redefinition. We have not seen that. We have not seen. A few companies are given tokens, marketing techniques using CSR, corporate social responsibility. But I like what my friend, Dr. Ndidi Nnolin Edozien, is doing in Lagos. She was the founder of Growing Businesses Foundation. She is gathering a few people together, and they are trying to form an ethical club, to translate ethical and ecological assessment into what is happening across Nigerian business landscape. Whether the companies are doing that, if the companies are doing that, what are we talking about? Somebody could just stand up and then embezzle billions of people's deposits in banks. Banks respecting the ethics in their businesses or other businesses in Nigeria. So, these are issues that are very, Nigeria needs serious reforms across so many levels. We have the laws, but implementing these laws are where the problems lie. And unless we get a damn good government that actually goes after offenders, we will never get it right. We have the laws, but we really need the political will to implement the laws in our books.
Now, the ethnic and religious issues in Nigeria, it's been a difficult one to manage by several governments, and not just the Buhari's administration. It wasn't as if Obasanjo did better or Jonathan did better. What do you think they are missing?
Okay, well, what they are missing, Nigeria. Okay, the trouble with Nigeria, Achebe defined it really well. My analysis will not beat Achebe's analysis. First of all, Achebe said the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely the failure of leadership, and then he went on to list what he felt was lacking in the Nigerian leadership of his day, and things have not even changed much till today. The inability of our leaders to rise to the responsibility of personal example. was one of the things that Chebe railed against, and is still the point today. Peter Obi made a speech a few days ago during his interview with CNN. He said that tribalism is an elitist conspiracy to keep Nigerians down. And there is a truth in that. Because those who are still in Nigeria blind know themselves, and they come from all the tribes in Nigeria. These politicians that are messing up the country are trans-tribal. They come from all the tribes of Nigeria. So at that level, it's a class thing. Okay, so they know themselves. There is no tribalism at the top. When you could see, they know each other. They intermarry. They come to each other's parties. But once it comes to elections, for them to mobilize their foot soldiers, to get them there, to push them to the top, where there is no tribalism, where they all unite and is they try to sing Kumbaya and then rape the country. They inject tribalism into it, and their foot soldiers run with it, and then go to the streets and slaughter and murder each other. So at the top, the rogues that are ruling Nigeria, the establishment, there's no tribalism. They know each other. They slap each other's backs. They go to each other's parties. They feast with each other. So you could see they have each other's telephone numbers on speed dial. So they could equally reach each other. But at the other level, where they on the Fed, because they are the predators on their preys, they use tribalism to keep them. It's a power thing until the ordinary man in the streets understands that it's not our war, it is their war, it is the elitist war. Nigeria will not be, so that's why they keep mismanaging it. That previous governments, and even this government, has been mismanaging our tribal diversity. It's because they want it that way. That's the way to maintain their power, divide and conquer. It has been the system of colonial enterprises everywhere. Nigerian leaders are colonial masters in black faces.
Now, what it is. Now, one of the solutions proposed by people like Omoyole Sowore is revolution. I don't know what you think about his campaign or the idea of a revolution as a solution to change the structure of that society. What do you think?
I shared Sowore's views some few years back. In 2005, I wrote an article titled, "Is Revolution as the Solution to the Nigerian Predicament?" Sowore incidentally published that in Sahara Reporters. It is there for everybody to read. I was so miffed at the wasted potential that Nigeria has become that I wrote that article. It came from a place of pain. Okay, I saw a country that was richly endowed and blessed with every available resource. And this country is frittering these resources away, both human and material. I wrote that article. But today, I have moved from those views. Revolution is an upheaval that nobody can control. So once it starts, who will be the victims and who will be the winners? So I am not, it's not that I am superlatively a pacifist, but I am against spilling human blood in any form or shape. So that's why revolution for me is not a very, very credible option. Reforms here. Evolution took millions of years to get us to this point. So if evolution was a radical revolution, no, it could have destroyed more than it could have. So every society evolves with time. Once we should try to, take one step after the other, get the electoral politics right, install good leaders, and good leaders will lead us to the next step. And coming leaders will now consolidate on those gains. But if we say, let's destroy everything at once and then start afresh, it will be like the Big Bang. It may take us, we all will be dead before we can do that. But I have always seen Nigeria, the Nigerian project, as a 50-year thing. For us to start getting Nigeria right, we need 50 years of serious planning and conscious effort at getting it right. It must be conscious, because we are not even conscious. Nigeria seems like a ship on a turbulent sea that nobody is at the rudder. That's the major problem. But if we get a stable hand at the rudder that navigates the ship really well, we may get to a safe harbor, and then we'll start unpacking the loads we brought along with us on the journey. So that's why revolution for me is not a very, very credible alternative to the Nigerian predicament. I have moved away from that. Stating that you want revolution out of the streets to be shot and killed Nigerian security establishment. You know, I wouldn't support. I would. No mother or parent would like to lose his or her child to that kind of thing. But we can start talking to each other, dialoguing across the ethnic nationalities, talking to each other. Because if we don't talk, we will fight. But once we start dialoguing with each other across board, and this is where intellectuals should come in, and this is where people like Paikide, let us start initiating this dialogue across board. Nigerians need to talk to each other before we can get it right. If we don't talk to each other, we may end up on it again, and it's not going to be pretty this time.
Now, in one essay that I read, you wrote it. You said that every revolution is killed by the very issue that midwifed it, and that every revolution has that ever failed to answer the bread and butter question end up eating its architects. When you look at the young people, like the NSAS protests, they were fed up. They were waiting for the kind of reform you are talking about. It didn't happen, and they had to go on the street. Are they wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
People?
Okay, we can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, I said I didn't get the last part of the question. If you could repeat it.
Young people that went on the streets during the NSAS protests, they were fed up, waiting for the reforms, the gradual reforms that you are talking about. And they decided to, were they wrong?
Not at all. They were not wrong. Every society, just watch it. Every society that's ever moved forward, we're propelled by the young people. You know, you cannot achieve anything as an old man in the world of today. You know, it's almost always an impossibility if we talk probability. They were not wrong. The young people had a legitimate dissension, and they aired it. But the point is that we have a government that is resistant to entreaties. This is a government headed by a military guy whose solution to every problem is bring out the guns. The NSAS has happened. Okay, other people will build on that. They were not wrong. It's not that, but they don't have the capabilities. They cannot face our standing military, so they have made their grievances known. I don't fault them. I fault the government. That's why I criticize them heavily, because they could have listened to the young people and made amends. Because the SAS policemen were a nest of killers. They were killing young people every other day. They were extorting them. So the young people were within their rights to protest in their father. I even wrote an article then that Nigeria killed her tomorrow. Your people, your kids were singing national anthem while you released the army to be taking shots at them. Such a president should be tried in The Hague, because that's the worst human rights violations ever. But what can we do? They have the power. The power is one of the most ephemeral and transitory things you can ever think of. You can see yourself in power today and you'll be out of it tomorrow. So, that's why sometimes I wonder how it seems that power changes the psychology of the people holding. So the NSAS young people, we're not wrong. It's not that, that's not the kind of, when I talk about gradual reforms, it must not be gradual. We need to elect good leaders. Okay, we cannot take money from bad people and elect them and then come back to complain. We were all parts of the problem, because most of these young people that were criticizing NSAS took money from politicians. They carried ballot boxes for them. And at the end of the day, we got the government we deserved. And then we kept crying. So the thing to do, 2023 is giving us another opportunity. The thing to do is vote in men of conscience, vote in men who are competent and capable. And then we will not have cause to be crying on the streets that we are being denied of our right.
All right. One other option on the table, even though some people do not want to believe it, is the one about splitting the country. You have the Arewa people, you have the Oduduwa people, you have the Niger Delta people, you have the Biafrans. Now, in one essay you wrote, you mentioned, you were using the Biafrans as an example. You said people who are screaming, give us Biafra, or that Biafra is the answer, that they have not answered the question, what they would do with Biafra once they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Why they have never told us what the question is and which problems Biafra solve once you get it. what do you think about that option? Because in as much as you may wish that the reform will happen, that there will be good leaders, we've been going from 1999, nothing good is happening. There's no guarantee that in 2023 something good will happen. And if it continues to go bad, people have the right to look for other solutions.
I agree.
Are you dismissing the people who might say, I want the Niger Delta Republic or Dua Nation as
No,
their?
no, 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 not at all. These are credible voices, and this is why I believe that all these issues could be solved on a table of dialogue. Okay, the historical accident that we call colonialism welded us together. In fact, imposed a structure on us in 1914 and called it Nigeria. Nigeria, which was a misnomer named by the girlfriend of a colonizing authority. Okay, so ever since then, it has been a boiling pot of dissensions. Nigeria has not known peace since 1914. So we will not even say, so it will be pretentious of me to say that those guys, they have credible issues. Agitations are caused by injustice in the system. Nigeria, I have to tell you, I'm sorry to tell you this, Nigeria is but a band of robbers. St. Augustine said, what is a nation without justice but a band of robbers? And this is in the sense that I mean it. There is no justice anywhere for Nigerians, especially the constituent parts. The people from the south is screaming, give us Biafra. They have a legitimate point, and this point should be listened to by other Nigerians. The people from the south were screaming to have legitimate points of being marginalized. They should be listened to. And this is why I thought that the 2014 National Conference convoked by Jonathan would address some of these questions. But it seems that the politicians are very much adept in covering their behinds before they leave office. So talking about breaking apart, the way it is today, if you ask me, what would I advise the agitators? I will ask them never to keep quiet, but to eschew violence. Let them get to the table. Let us talk. Let all constituent nationalities in Nigeria talk and lay their cards on the table. This is why Nigeria is not functioning. But I still believe that Nigeria could be a great country if we get it right. If we get Nigeria right, Nigeria could work for the best interest of every Nigerian. Kayode, Musa, Uche, and all whatnot, coming from every ethnic nationality. Nigeria is so diverse and so rich in human resources and natural resources as well. But if we cannot stay together, we can agree to go our ways. But it has to be an agreement. We should not be fighting each other about that. So this is the way I see it. And there was another essay I wrote where I said that Nigeria is a federated grievance held together by oil. What is holding the Nigerian state today together is oil. Once the oil finishes, you will see the agitations louder in the north. I can tell you that. Okay, so the agitation, every part of every Nigerian feels marginalized, and that has been the swan song that we've been singing since after the Civil War. The Civil War actually has not been. We have not done a truth and reconciliation kind of thing. What the South Africans did, we swept a lot of things under the carpet, a lot of legitimate issues that should be addressed, a lot of trauma, a lot of unpropitiated ghosts really need to be brought out to the fore and treated if Nigeria is to go on as one country. If not, even the best of governments will not save us from ourselves. We are capable of doing and undoing and hurting ourselves the most.
All right. So I noticed that in one of publications of your organization, it says that Nigeria is number 7 on the Open Doors 2022 World Watch List of countries in which Christians are mostly persecuted.
Yes.
The Minister for Information will disagree with you, Lai Mohammed. How do you make that clear to people? Because a lot of people, how is the data collected by the group that come up with this, and can you clarify that?
Yeah, the data is very simple. Nigerian publications publish almost every other day on attacks against Christians and burning of churches in the north. So all these are in there. So data are collected from Nigerian publications. So we get the information from the Nigerian media and the press too. And sometimes we send people on fact-finding mission. I was in Nigeria in 2021, April 6th, for a month. I was traveling the length and breadth of the country, gathering data, gathering information. So we visited people who have lost loved ones, communities that have been sacked and attacked by Fulani militia. So they are strong. Ask Governor Autumn of Benue State how many refugees he's harboring in his state, and the federal government is not even caring about it. Go from the Benue Basin through the Jos Plateau to southern Kaduna. Almost every other day, Christian communities are being attacked. People are being slaughtered, and their women are being taken away to be married off by the terrorists. So we see that. So in some open spaces in Nigeria today, the terrorists are the ones imposing levies and collecting them from people in exchange for their lives. So Nigerian media is awash with all this. Anybody who is conscientious enough could start taking notes, and then in a month, there are other organizations that are working internally in Nigeria that have this data for themselves too. So it's not a secret. It's not something we are concocting in our witches' kitchens. No, these are information. These are public available information, bits of information that are out there that we gather and analyze, and then come to the conclusion, hey, look at this. Christians are being unfairly targeted by a jihadist. I always tell people, Islam is not the problem, but we have an Islamism, which is, the idea that you could get whatever you want with violence. Every religion has a right to look for members, but killing other people because of their faith or because you believe that they are second-class citizens is what we disagree with. So, across Nigeria is seventh on that list, and people are still being killed. My organization, the Christian Solidarity International, gave out a genocide warning in 2020. We listed our reasons for that. Anybody who wants to read more could visit our website, nigerianreport.org. It is there listed, and then you could see the information or the basis for our conclusion.
All right. So recently there were Chibok girls being rescued by the military, and I saw where your organization, you were talking about them. What happens when they come out? I mean, do you know where they are? What is the government? Is anybody responsible? What's happening to them?
Well, Rudolf, my brother, this is a question we should best direct to direct to the Nigerian government. They should be in a position to answer, especially the Borno State government. They should be in a position to answer us what happens to these girls after. The much we know is that once the media cameras are shut off, the girls go back to some communities reject those girls because they have been violated by these terrorists. Some of them came back with children in their hands. These were young girls that were violated. Their futures were robbed of them by these terrorists. It's really a very heart-wrenching situation when one talks about it. So the government should be in a position to tell us, what were your plans? What did you do with these girls? Were there trauma rehabilitations? Were there psychological help? Were there economic help? What have you been able to do for this? This is where we should hold the government responsible and to account. And this is the job of Nigerians, to hold their governments to account. Tell us what you did for these girls. Because Nigeria failed these young people. We did not protect them. After not protecting them, we allow some of them just to wallow in their poverty, in their psychological hurts, in their trauma. This is where some people will say, I am ashamed of being a Nigerian, because our governments are so careless about such things. In civilized societies, these girls will be rushed for psychological rehabilitation and therapy, but we don't provide such things. I don't know the extent the government has gone, so I wouldn't be hammering on them at this point, but they should be able to come out in the open and tell us what is happening with these girls that have been rescued. And some others are still living in captivity, as I'm speaking to you.
Yes.
So many of them are still in captivity, and the government should equally be in a position to tell us what efforts they are making to rescue these girls. And there is something that is very sad that makes northern Nigerian Christians think that they are second-class citizens. Every other girl that was kidnapped with Leah Shwaribu was rescued, but Leah Shwaribu is still in custody. And the issue is because she is a Christian. So why rescue other kidnapped girls that are Muslims, and then you rescue a Christian? This is where you give Christians in the north a feeling that they don't belong. And this should not be a case where a government is responsive to the needs and aspirations of its people. The Nigerian government at this time has failed in this regard, and we should just take it the way it is. So tell Paikide that our voices are being heard.
All right. In another 6 minutes, we are going to let our audience join us in this conversation. If you want to join us, you click on the link I'm sharing. Also, if you're in this studio and you want to participate, turn on your camera so that we know that you want to participate. Otherwise, I will have to remove those whose cameras are not on. All right. So let's now go back to. Now we have an election coming up, and people are excited. You talked about the economic issues that will face the incoming president, not just the political and cultural and all the conflicts. How big is that?
Hey, my brother, that is the greatest. That's the iceberg that's this Titanic that is Nigeria is going to hit. The person that would be assuming the presidency come May 29, 2023, that will be what will confront him. The Naira is in free fall as I am speaking to you. Inflation rate has risen so high. The country is actually listing terribly to starboard. So these are the issues. The economy is going to be the major thing that will face anybody that will be sitting in Aso Rock or marching into Aso Rock come 2023. So it's really heavy as that. Many Nigerians are not feeding anymore. Many Nigerians have turned to beggars on the social media. They will be writing you, telling you stories that will make your heart bleed, that they don't have food anymore for their kids. And these are factual. They're not lying to you. Okay. What is the purchasing power parity in Nigeria today? Against the dollar, everything has skyrocketed in price. The price of bread has skyrocketed in Nigeria. The price of basic staples that people rely on for their daily lives are no longer within the reach of the poor. And don't forget that majority of Nigerians are living below the poverty line. And these are the people most hardly hit by this economy that has gotten out of control. So anybody that is going to take over power from this government, well, I'm sorry. In fact, I will just offer him my condolences.
All right. So one last thing. I know you are based in Switzerland, and when you are in Europe and you are looking at Africa and some of the things going on in Africa, because you are beyond Nigeria, it's also other parts of Africa. What do you think see as the major problem facing the continent?
Leadership.
What is it?
Leadership.
Leadership. Yeah.
Leadership. The only problem that Africa has, Achebe, I told you, nobody could beat Achebe's analysis. Every Nigerian, every African should get that little pamphlet written in 1983, The Trouble with Nigeria. Achebe listed it there. There is nothing wrong with Nigeria's climate, Africa's climate. There is nothing wrong with our people. Our people are equally qualified. Rudolf, you are in New York, contributing your best to better your society. All of us are scattered everywhere. Nigerians, I went to Houston and I realized that the guy that was driving a taxi I was in had a PhD, and the quality of the conversation was high notch. And you could see many Nigerians are in many places contributing towards the best interest of those societies. So there is nothing wrong with our people. There is nothing wrong with our climate. But the major then is that we have had series of successive leadership problems that has laid Africa prostrate. So if we get leadership right, that's where we will start. Tell me what Paul Biya is still doing in Cameroon since 1982. Till date, he's still the president. Tell me what, Mugabe, how long was Mugabe in power?
Do you like the model of Paul Kagame in Rwanda?
Well, I am a bit conflicted with the Kagame model. Kagame is a pragmatist, so to say. But on his human rights records, that's where I disagree with him. But his method is pragmatic. Every country has to find its own niche. Every country has to find what works for it and then harps on it. That's what Kagame is doing in Rwanda. And we have to praise him too for holding the country together after that terrible genocide. It requires superhuman efforts to do that. I like his model. He's a Pan-Africanist, the way it is going. But Nigeria, that is the giant of Africa, unless Nigeria becomes a first world nation, Africans will not get. That's what I feel.
I'm sorry about that. All right. Okay. So let's hear from our viewers and see what they have for you. I'll call you. Maybe we take 3 questions and then we'll you answer them and we'll get to other ones. Christina, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Rudolf. This is my first time of joining your program. So I don't know, my camera is not facing me correctly. I'm not sure why. Okay, keep showing one of my eyes.
we can make you the sole person on the screen.
Oh, yeah. I want to be seeing the faces, please. I want to see the faces.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for creating the platform for this discussion. And also I want to thank Dr. Franklyne for the sincere words that you have spoken, but I have just 2 questions. One is a reservation, and one is probably a kind of optimism that it could work. My first question had to go with the idea of functionality of the country called Nigeria. It's how it can function, because many are, as you also have identified, that it's not functioning. Okay, and of course we have this elite politics of elite. That is elite politics. We talk about young people on the street. We talk about, but at the point where politics is happening, just the elite, including from different parts of Nigeria. And these are people who decide the fate of Nigeria. It doesn't matter what an ordinary person does. So with the kind of movement we have here now, revolutions, how many of these people in this, call it demonstrations, protests, or whatever that is going on, how realistic, looking at the elite politics in Nigeria, how realistic is that to change election in 2023?
Okay.
I'm not talking about Bible. I'm just talking about elite politics. My second question goes to you. When you say that the problem in Nigeria is leadership and what is holding Nigeria is oil. Okay, so I think I need to disagree. Of course, Nigeria is, call it an artificial structure, okay, because it's not something that people worked for. I mean, what holds the country we call Nigeria is not what people agreed to call Nigeria. They didn't come together to do that. And constantly, people see that Nigeria, when it was at its best, people still see it on the prison where they stand, whether religious or ethnic or whatever. So how do you reduce this, what binding it or what is not binding it to simply ethnicity, when ethnic diversity has never played any role in creating what Nigeria is? We are just different people who somebody decided to bring together, like a marriage that was.
Okay. Christina, thank you so much. I know I didn't mention this. When I call you, please give us only 1 question so that we can get to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Franklyne, I think you take 2 more, then
you
can.
So 2 more questions. Yeah.
Okay. Alaro, you're next.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Damages. My dear sir, I commend you on everything you've accomplished, on all your accomplishments, and most importantly, I commend you greatly on the things you are currently doing. I was opportune, I don't know if you remember, to meet you in Frankfurt last month. So it was an honor to actually interact with you. So I do have a lot of information based on our interactions. So it's not necessarily a question for my part. And I do believe leadership is the problem, as you state. But we as Nigerians, we need to put in the work to make it work. Each one of us must change and reflect the same thing we expect from whoever is going to be in charge in 2023. Thank you, more grace, and I wish you all the best, and a privilege to be here with you guys all. take the opportunity to learn from him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vin, you're next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Damages, and good evening to our guest. This is Maxwell Vine, residing in Bolgatanga, upper eastern part of Ghana. I would like to ask our guests, Nigeria is a tribal nation. Anybody that tells you that Nigeria is not a tribal nation, that person is lying. I experienced it when I tried to join the Nigerian Defense Academy, which resulted, me joining through recruitment. I know what I experienced when I joined. When you go to the top, you see that Nigerians are tribal in nature. Now, sir, the problem of Nigeria is not mainly leadership, but, how do you want to, make Nigeria a great nation, whereas those that are practicing the current system that is bringing Nigeria where it is about to go to now are refusing dialogue? Because as you witness, as you know very well, that 1999 constitution was not people's constitution. I was in the service when that constitution was given to, I was in the army when that constitution was given to, handed over to Obasanjo. It is not people's constitution. That is number one. How do you bring people up to that national level to decide on the principles that will lead them? Thank you, sir.
All right. So Franklyne, you can answer the questions, and then we go to the next three.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for all your questions. They are brilliant questions. Alaro, my brother, I thank you. I met you, and it was a great meeting you in Frankfurt at that function. I was actually edified by your presence there. Dr. Christina talked about elite politics. I agree with you. The ordinary man on the streets has less influence if we look at it from just a pedestrian perspective. But if people come together and start a movement, that's why people say, don't agonize, organize. Once people come together, they build a mass that could exert serious pressure on the establishment, on the elites as well. But every society is governed by elitist consensus. That you have to know. The elite, if you get the elite into a room and get them to decide on the direction that the country will go, it will now trickle down to their followers. Yeah, it happens everywhere, not only in Nigeria. In England, we call the establishment. In the United States, you have the major parties that are the major families and all whatnot. So it is important to talk to the elite and then to get elitist consensus before you could fashion a way forward for Nigeria. But our major problem is that those guys that are elite, who are they? What are their pedigree? What are their achievements? To become an elite in Nigeria, there was something going around online some time ago that the intelligent ones departed the country and the thugs and the thieves became the new elite and now making decisions that are affecting over 200 million Nigerians. So, but elites have one thing in common. They have interests. So unless their interests are touched, they are not forced to move. And this is where the obese movement comes into focus. If obese movement gets large and powerful enough to make the elites fear for their interests, there's going to be two reactions. They are going to fight back and then destroy the movement, or they are going to see that it is better to accede to this movement in order to retain their position in the new dispensation that is coming. So they don't die, they change. They are not stupid. That they are able to survive is because they are malleable. They could change according to the pressures being exerted by the people. And that's how feudalism got away. And that because after the French Revolution, every major royal house in Europe took notice that if we don't change, our own people are going to cut off our heads like they did the French kings. So it is the elites, they feel the pulse of the society. So if this movement continues, if Nigerians rise today, the elite will follow suit. It's as simple as that. It's happened in every society. It's happened in history. That's the way history shows its face. So the second question you said about Nigeria being an artificial creation, yes. but many countries are artificial creations, even Germany, okay, that they over time got to the point where they started speaking the same language and then they started interacting on so many levels. Countries are created by sometimes imperial fiat, but the people have to work out their destinies themselves. And the onus now lies on Nigerians to either decide to stay together or go their separate ways. But it's a question that Nigerians must set for themselves. So it is not only because we were created by the British, then we couldn't function. Hey, we are human. We could equally say the accidents of our birth, we can step over it and say, hey, we have found ourselves together in this prison. We are in one ship sailing a turbulent ocean. It is either we fight to right this ship to get it to a safe harbor, or we all drown. So once we know that our interests, all our general interests, collective interests are at stake, then we may fight to live. And this is what is called healthy human self-preservatory instinct. It's lacking sometimes in the Nigerian elite, and is unfortunate. When Vinny talked about Nigeria being a tribal nation, I don't understand what you mean by, Nigeria is a country made up of I don't call them tribes. Tribes is so demeaning. Nigeria is a country made up of ethnic nationalities. These are nations, okay, brought together by imperial fiat to exist together under impossible circumstances. We are not doing badly, okay. America fought the Civil War, even though they are all whites that came from Europe. They fought the Civil War in the 1860s. And then today, we can talk about America being one of the greatest nations on earth. But that doesn't mean that dissensions have ceased. The southern states, the former Confederate states, are still making trouble. They still want to succeed. So there is still there. But this country caters for its citizens at the basic level. The politics is local. So if we get our local politicians to cater for the interests of the ordinary man on the street, each locality could build itself up to being a beacon of hope for ordinary Nigerians. Another thing is, you mentioned you experienced it during the Defense Academy. Ojukwu argued out an arrangement with Gowon at Aburi in the 60s when they went there for a conference about the confederal structure for Nigeria. Nigeria, that could have done Nigeria a lot of good because each region could have developed in its own pace and then giving its own people that are within the same language and cultural structure the opportunity to actualize themselves instead of being roped together under one unyielding and unwieldy construct that we call Nigeria. So we may think about confederal structure going forward. How can each region, but today we have multiplicity of states, and it becomes more difficult because no state would like to go back to a region, or no governor would like to submit himself to a regional head after tasting power that makes him a chief executive of a state. So, but Nigeria should start thinking about other ways of organizing ourselves, our government. And confederal structure is something we can think about going forward. So I don't have all the answers, but these are ideas that we could all think about on how to make Nigeria better. Let's wait out the 2023 elections and see how it goes. But if we get it wrong, Nigeria, we may end up not having a Nigeria anymore to call home.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me call on Sam. Sam, you can ask him your question or your comment. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you, Rudolf. And thank you, our guest, Dr. Franklyne Ogbunwezeh. Yeah, I got it right.
Yeah,
and greetings, everybody. Good afternoon from the land of the king, because we've just got a king, no more the queen.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Ogbunwezeh, for gracing our occasion today. In fact, I've read you in the past. I've read quite a lot about you, what you put out. You are quite formidable intellectually, social ethics, genocide, social justice, human rights, lawyer, philosopher, just virtually everywhere. You are grounded in the social sciences and social interaction. Well, from what you've said, although I wasn't disappointed, I know that is the direction you do a justice to issues around genocide and social justice and social ethics. I quote you here. You said Nigeria is on the brink of implosion. Yeah, you said it, and I recorded it. Now, of course, the next thing is we must avoid it because nobody will like it to happen. So that brings me to the question I would like to ask. It's not original, but I would like to repeat it, which is what the question Bola Ige, the late Bola Ige posed in the time of June 12 and Nadeko. He was saying, the question is, Nigerians must, at one point in their life, answer this question. Are we really ready, given our historical formation? Are we really ready to continue to coexist as one people in one nation?
All right.
If so, no, I've not finished.
Okay.
If so, under what condition? Or under what terms? Because no condition might mean just under what terms. I don't want to mention because we already know that Nigeria is made up of different ethnic nationality or different nations. So under what terms? So is it not this is the best time for Nigeria to answer that question? Are we still ready to kick the can down the road in the hope that somehow, somewhere, it will disappear? Thank you.
Thank you, CM. Omore, before you go, I want to add this to the question that CM asked because he mentioned Bola Ige. Bola Ige used to talk about Nigeria being on the road to Kigali. And it hasn't, since he said that, it hasn't been taken off the table that we're on the road to Kigali. So if imagine that we are actually on that road, are we getting closer? How far did we move backwards at any point since 1999? Are we approaching Kigali? How far are we? So add that to when you answer the question. Omore, you're next.
Rudolf, you have your own style, you know. Whether you're a comedian or you're a journalist, I can't really tell. So you've taken me off balance. You're taking me off balance. Okay, let me get myself back. Thank you, Rudolf, for having me today. It's always a delight to be here. You know, you have your own style, and your style is unique. Greetings to our guest, Dr. Franklyne. Thank you for your brilliant and wonderful submission. And in the course of your submission, you said something about your earlier position on the revolution in Nigeria vis-a-vis your current position, current view. And again, you said something about, I just want to correct one impression about revolution. Revolution must not necessarily be bloody, like the one we currently embark on led by Omoyele Sowore. When he came aboard 2019, he said he was coming to disrupt Nigerian political space. You know, whether people like him or not, I think he has succeeded in doing that. He used to be PDP and APC. I attended the PDP meeting while I was at home. I was beaten, both and blue. I was beaten by their talks and taken away from the meeting by just for hearing my view. So we got to a point when we had no option. It was either PDP or the highway. Either you follow their way or no way for you. So we fought with an we felt it wasn't good. Any government without opposition was becoming too tyrannical for our liking. So we fought with an to get what we have today as APC. And APC has even become a monster that the PDP they tried to replace. Now, what I'm saying here is the revolution Omoyele Sowore is talking about. It's not necessarily the bloody one. It's the revolution of the mind, which you have succeeded in doing to a greater extent. He made himself available. He fought from the front to tell Nigerian people, Nigerian youth, that no matter how they try to tear gas us, no matter how they try to kill us, power still belongs to the people. The power of the people is greater and stronger and mightier than the bullet, and greater than the people in power. So I think he has succeeded in getting that revolution to a reasonable extent. This is their way. This is what led to the Nigerian people, waking up from their slumber, ready to take their country back. I think this is the revolution Omoyele Sowore is talking about, not the revolution of the bullet, not the revolution of the boat down, not the revolution of the grenade. Having said that, my question is, you alluded to the candidacy of Peter Obi. Most of us are happy that at least we're having options outside the monstrous and the devilish APC and PDP Sacred school. But a lot of people are worried. They are concerned about his lineage, his affiliations. Remember vividly, he came back from Britain 2-3 days after he declared he was going to leave PDP. And again, having declared his aspiration, he has been moving from one godfather to the other. The same people that have been holding Nigeria in perpetual bondage, from Ambassador to IPP, from IPP to Abdul Salami to whoever that is, who we know very well that they have not been, we call them, some people call them the owners of Nigeria, but we the masses call them the problems of Nigeria. People are not comfortable with this affiliation. So people see him as a same of the old system. If there's any way we can break away totally from that old spirit, any way we can change that dynamics, we don't have to affiliate with these people. I don't know what's your position in this regard. Thank you, sir.
All right. So Franklin, you can take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rudolf. I guess I will start with the last questioner. You raised serious questions. You are right. Revolution doesn't necessarily, by definition, revolution doesn't necessarily need to be bloody. It means structural change across systems. That's what revolution is. But you have to realize there's something that Mao Zedong said, that power flows from the barrel of a gun. It's not that I believe it. It's not my philosophy. But what he wanted to do is what Noam Chomsky said, that power is a very violent institution. Power doesn't yield willingly to anything. You have to take power. Power is never given. So for you to upset a system, a political system, to confront them, and then you are chanting revolution, you are inviting blood. That's what it is. It is either you take power away from them or they die fighting for it. So this is the major reason why the Nigerian government has not been comfortable with people like Sowore. They have persecuted him to the greatest extent possible. They have denied him of his fundamental human rights on many occasions. Okay, so establishments don't yield power willingly. Okay, so power is very violent, a very violent institution. So we have to be very careful. When you start, I want revolution in a political system, they call it, we have a democracy. We know that what we have is, what was handed over to us by the military. So we have to be very careful. And this is where I believe that there are other ways of skinning a monkey than actually confronting, an establishment that has an interest of life and death in maintaining their power in a society. So that's where I went away a little bit from revolution. There are many structures of our politics and society that really needs a revolution in Nigeria. Okay, that's another question that we have to get to, but we have to get the basics right. The basics is first of all installing a government that we can hold accountable, a government of the people. Actually, this is where I see hope in the P2B's movement. It's not that I support everything that P2B does, but at this point in time, he's the only person that is asking credible questions about the society. And the masses are behind him. And these masses, if they do their job well, their job is not only electing him, but holding him to account after elections. That's where Nigerians fail. We elect and we go home and then whip to our pillows. They said the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. If we elect people and go to bed, power, if you give anybody power, power corrupts absolutely. People will do whatever they want with it if you don't hold them to account. So this is where Nigerians really need to sit up. Electing leaders are not enough. You have to hold them to account for them to work for you. So I will leave it there. The second question, Bola Ige, on the road to Kigali. Are we ready to exist as one people? If yes, on what terms? It's a brilliant question. This is a question any society could always pose to itself. We are still on the road to Kigali. We have not even taken ourselves. In fact, we are now on the expressway to Kigali if we don't take time. So we have to ask ourselves this question. I don't have answers to it, but my views are, this is a question that Nigerians really need to sit down at the table of dialogue and iron out for themselves. Talking has never killed anybody. But once it happens in marriages, once a couple stops talking, they start fighting. So we should learn to talk to each other. Dialogue should be the best weapon of organizing human society. We are no longer in the medieval times where we kill people that disagree with us. This is a time to listen to our opponents. Listen to those who we believe don't understand us. That's the only way to understand them. I studied philosophy. In epistemology, the only bridge between two minds is language. We listen to them. You don't know what is in the other person's brain. You can never be in that person's brain unless you listen to him. So if we listen to each other across board, we may evolve a society where every Tom, Dick, in fact, every Okeke, Okonkwo, Kayode, and Musa could coexist peacefully. And then we could go about actualizing ourselves as individuals and handing a better posterity to Nigerians going forward. Nigeria is a great nation. If we can make it that. Calling it a great nation doesn't make it great. It has the potentialities, but we have to actualize it. And actualizing it means we have to come together to do it or decide to go our separate ways. And each person could now be to thy tents, O Israel, like the Bible was written in the Bible. So the job is ours. The onus lies on us. Do we want to kill each other, or do we want to question the basis of our existence? And then after interrogating that, come to a conclusion that can say we either live together and fight to make Nigeria better, or we go our separate ways. These are options that we could explore as intelligent human individuals. I believe that Nigerians are an intelligent people, and we will always find the right answers once we give our minds to it.
All right. And did he miss anybody? No. All right. Forefathers. Ernest.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in and for all your contribution and all. But from what I've heard, I feel like the problem we have is because of the way we describe our problems. Okay. Because I found there's a study that shows clearly that people can be divided very quickly, easily too. And using specific languages, talking about this one goes to this one goes to that one, you created an environment that people can be divided by. There is a study that clearly shows that just one page that somebody reads, a paragraph, can change the way you make your decision about these events. So it tells you that some of all these things, we are fighting shadows here. If we keep talking about tribes, we are reinforcing it. If we keep talking about this one goes to this side, and our elites should know better. They should know these things. If you don't understand that human beings can be divided just by talking about the divisive aspects, instead of talking about coming together, then you have a problem. You have a problem of leadership. You said it yourself. This is a leadership issue. And from what I've heard, what you've said too, you've actually highlighted some of those things yourself. And if we keep going in this direction, we have a greater threat out there that we are not talking about. Instead, we are talking about reverting to the state we were in before we got into the mess in the first place. This is madness, total monumental failure of imagination. We are the only group of people this big that do this nonsense. I don't understand it, why we keep going around in circles. And we have highly educated people that can easily surmise these things, and yet they don't do it. Look at what we are talking about here. Bolaige said it. Bolaige was wrong. He was wrong, like our forefathers were. We're playing stupid games that got us in this mess, and we lack imagination. The only person that is talking about this today is Al Mustafa. He was in tears yesterday, talking about what we need to do, how we need to defend our people, talking about if he gets destroyed, he doesn't care. We need to be coming together, talk about unity instead of keep talking about division, because division, we have tried it before. It got us into this mess. It's not rocket science. So what do you think that the approach should be? Should our elites that know better, that have access to all these things, should they be highlighting these issues of unity instead of talking about how we can divide? We're talking about, oh, let's have a conversation. The time for conversation is over. All we are going to get if we try to divide is war, Somalia or Congolese, whatever, just choose one. That's what you're going to get for the next 2 decades. And that's if we ever recover from that again. And why are our leaders not saying these things? And the question I'll ask to you is that, do you agree that we should be talking more about unity instead of talking about division on how we can divide? Because it's not going to work for us.
Thank you, forefathers. Franklyne, you want to,
yes, I enjoy his passion. We all have the same passion for Nigeria. That we are even talking about is because we are seeking solutions. It's not necessarily, we don't solve a problem by ignoring it. There are salient problems that are there. You are talking, we will not talk about unity if we are not divided. You only talk about unity in a place where people are divided. So the issue is that Nigeria at this point is so divided, and I mentioned it, maybe you tuned it late. I mentioned it that if we don't watch our rhetoric, that we are weaponizing words, language. You said it, language can divide and language can unite as well. Language can destroy and language can heal. We are talking about all this to highlight where the problems are. The problems are we are weaponizing our rhetoric during political seasons to cause more divisions and more havoc, and it's leading to deaths. I moved away. If you listen to my answer to one of our brothers here, I said, I moved away from revolution because revolution involves a lot of bloodshed. Okay, so if we say Nigeria, let us divide, there are vested interests that will not let that happen. It's not going to happen unless you're ready to commit blood, pints of blood to it. If we say let's stay together, there are against to that. But on what terms? Those guys asking the questions are not foolish. Their questions are legitimate. And these are legitimate questions that we should talk about. And this is why dialogue is what it is. The Americans created a country because 12 states came in Virginia and sat down and said, we give ourselves this constitution. This is to guide us. There must be a dialogue. If you say the time of talking is over, then what? Fighting?
The problem has nothing to do with our unity. We are already united. Our problem is that our leaders are selling us out on a daily basis. That's what needs to stop. Nigeria has elected more people from that had leaders from ethnic minorities than even from majority group or major groups. We are not as divided as we think we are. When we keep reinforcing this discussion, we are missing the point. Where I stress people that haven't gotten the gains for all the work we have done because our leaders keep selling us and taking our resources into foreign countries. This is what needs to stop. And that's where we should be focusing our attention on. And we keep talking about, let's talk about. It's not going to get us anywhere. We've been doing this for 500 years.
No, not for 500 years. Okay, now the point is, when you say the resources are being returned, Abacha, everything that Abacha took are being, and many of these foreign countries, let me just come out. Many of these foreign countries are now making laws to prevent your leaders from stealing your resources and bringing it to them. So the issues are clear. I understand. And this
you seriously believe that? Oh my God.
Okay, forefathers, let's get other people involved.
My brother, we can have a private conversation after this about what I believe in this area. I don't make public statements lightly. I weigh my words very carefully because I know what my words represent across so many strata. So I weigh them very carefully, and my opinion I keep to myself, but facts are what I lay on the table. We can have a private conversation after this and then try to straighten it out. Okay.
All right.
Please, can I just make 2 comments on this topic, please?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I really want to intervene because there is what you call perception. Okay, so forefathers, you believe, you're convinced that Nigeria is united. That's your perception. But Nigeria is made up of 200 million people. So we cannot push their own perception under the cupboard, because when you talk of conflict is not just bloody conflict, but the conflict of perception. And one of the issues we have in Nigeria is conflict of perception. And we cannot rule that out by just focusing on the perception that we are already united. Of course, we are united because there is a boundary creating us out as a Nigeria. But you now see the Germans will call it Verhalten, our behavior towards our relationship with each other in that country. You are talking of leaders, that leaders are betraying. It's part of the problem. What are the causes of that betrayal? What is the foundation? From which prism are we talking about betrayal? When people think they are being betrayed, from which angle are they seeing that betrayal? So we are dealing with an entrenched perception.
All right, Christina is frozen, and we'll before you go, let me get Chukwudi to also have an opportunity to ask a question. And also, let me say, if your question has been answered and you want to give room for people, because we don't have space now, there is someone who is in the studio, but his camera is not on. So we don't have space for people who may want to come in and ask questions. So Chukwudi, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Damages, for giving me an opportunity to speak. Thank you, Dr. Ogbunwezeh, for joining our discussion. When people say the problem of Nigeria is leadership, I just smile. Where are we going to get the leaders from? Nigeria operates a thievocracy. Governments of thieves, by thieves, for thieves. The thieves on the outside are praying, fasting, sowing, tithing to get on the inside. Once they get in, they start thieving at a rate higher than those they replaced. So unless we're going to get the leaders from Venus or Mars, I don't see an easy solution. And we've harped a lot on colonialism. Remember that the English were colonized by the Romans, by the Vikings, and they later went on to colonize the whole world. There is nothing uniting Nigeria. You talk about Germany. They're united by language, by alcohol, by food. You talk about France. They're united by food and language. I mean, what unites Nigeria? You talk about India. India is united by religion, Hindu. They may have 800 tribes. But when you talk anything adverse about Hinduism, they'll all be united and up in arms. The Chinese are united by the Han's Chinese. They're 80%. So I don't see a Tibetan becoming a president of China in 1,000 years. So what is uniting us? We have so much diversity that we can never be united. But if we can all convert to one religion, maybe you can use the religion angle. Of we are all wearing the same attire or eating the same food. So there's really nothing. So until you can get that leader that will give us that sense of unity, which I think it will be difficult to accomplish. Because like you said...
So somebody need to tell you that you are not black, you have not existed in the same geographic locations. Are you that surprised? What unites us? Look at our suffering, it's united, isn't it?
No. I mean, suffering does not unite you. Because everybody wants to get their own bit of the national cake. And they don't care about the others. It's only in Nigeria you find somebody driving a Rolls Royce on a road not fit for a safari. It's only in Nigeria people build gold-glided mansions and there's open drains with mosquitoes and frogs bellowing and generators.
Our history is not a mystery. You saw how we were colonized. You saw how our forefathers sold each other.
Let me finish. Because other places were colonized. The Japanese, they refused. Go ahead. Okay, my question to Dr. Ogbunwezeh is, if you say you don't want a revolution, what do you want? Because there are bloodless revolutions. It's like sitting home. Everybody sits home. Don't go anywhere. You don't have to be on the streets. You know, people will tell you, oh, I'll die of hunger. Well, get 1 cup of rice, vote for the wrong person, and go hungry for the next 4 years. So you can have a revolution without shooting a gun.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will let Christina finish her question. She was her system stopped her.
Okay. It was not a question, actually. I was trying to question about perception.
Okay, I remember. Okay.
All we do, how we perceive the country. Perceive that this country is not.
All right, you are frozen again. Franklyne, you can answer the questions.
Okay, I enjoy
privilege and one anthem and so on and so forth. But the activities going on, people, inhabitants of that.
All right, I don't know where she is, but our system is connection is. Frankly, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Rudolf. Well, I am enjoying the robust discussion coming from all the contributors here today. Nigeria is a really great laboratory for a serious sociological study. My brother, maybe you didn't join in early enough to understand the implication of my words. I never said I never want revolution. I said I don't want bloody revolution. I equally clarified that revolution doesn't necessarily, by definition, doesn't necessarily mean a bloody uprising or upheaval. Really, revolution is an upheaval in the structure, or changing the structure and systems altogether. But what I disagree with, what I don't want, is my personal philosophy. Because it's not that I'm a pacifist, but I hate spilling human blood. Because of that, I said, if you come to people who believe that this structure favors them, establishments across history don't like revolution, they will smash it down with everything they have. And if you stand with nothing and chant revolution before them, they will smother you before you can even say Jack Robinson. So that was just my case. My case is Nigeria ripe for a revolution? The country is at the brink of implosion. A lot of things are not even, the economy has tanked already. Let me tell you, what is sustaining Nigeria today is the dollars that you guys send. It's just the Western Union syndrome. If you guys stop sending money, Nigerians will be feeding off the garbage dumps. And then what will happen? They will now bounce back on these people holding them down. That's what it is. So it's not that I don't want a revolution. There are so many structures and systems in place in Nigeria that really need serious revolution. But like I said, let's get the basics right. Get the right man in office. Stay there throughout his government to hold him accountable. When you say, where should these leaders come from? There is something we call enlightened self-interest. Okay? You are in a boat together, and everybody is now picking holes in the boat. But you know, enlightened self-interest will tell you, if we keep on, instead of patching this boat, we are all going to drown. That's the point Nigeria is at now. So if Nigerians don't know anything, if nothing unites us, enlightened self-interest should tell us that it is either we rescue this country now or it is hell. That is just what it is. So it is human. That's what it is. So you can get these leaders who know that it is 10 seconds to midnight, that if we don't start paddling against the current, that Nigeria will collapse anytime soon. So this is what we say. Leaders could come. These societies that you think have made it are not, there is corruption everywhere. I have studied corruption across societies. Nigeria is not even the most corrupt society I've studied. The most corrupt society I've studied is in the West, and they are one of the leading nations on earth. Okay, so, but the point is that our own version of corruption cripples the system, cripples the whole thing. So this is where when Achebe said we need leaders that rises to the responsibility of personal example, that's where it starts. Peter Obi made a very important point when he said that, anyway, not even Peter Obi, Vincent Azie in 2003 was the accountant general of the Federation. Obasanjo had to sack this guy. Do you know why? Because this guy said that 70% of the corruption that is happening in Nigeria happens in Obasanjo's presidency after auditing Nigerians' accounts. So if a leader rises to the responsibility of personal example, what happens? Everybody below him takes the cue that now a new sheriff is in town. It is not business as usual. It starts there and it creates a ripple effect. That's why leadership is important. In every organization, it rises and falls on leadership. President Roosevelt had to write it on his desk. The buck stops here. So if we don't get that right, nothing will ever work, because leadership is like the entrepreneur in factors of production. This is what organizes every other factor of production to lead a society towards felicity. So if we say, where should they come from? We have Nigerians that are doing their businesses well, managing their personal affairs well. Across societies I've visited in the West, we see Nigerians obeying the laws. But once the plane lands in Lagos, everybody starts, I'm a big man, because the environment leaves room for that. You get the point. So we have the laws. It's not that the laws are not there. The laws are there, but we don't have the political will to implement the laws in our books. This is why I heard a few days ago, the Lagos state government auctioned off vehicles that it seized from people who violated traffic codes. And people were saying, why should you auction it off? In Denmark, it's the same. If you commit traffic, there's a traffic offense you commit in Denmark, your car will be impounded and auctioned. But the point is, the majority of the guys that violate traffic regulations in Lagos are big men. Who will tell you, do you know who I am? But if a poor man violates it, or somebody who cannot fight for himself, he is impounded and then his car is auctioned. A society sets itself on the way to development once the big man obeys the laws. David Beckham was standing on the line for 12 hours just to, in a queue. In Nigeria, they will ask Dangote to stand in line for 12 hours. Are you the mad? People, even Nigerians, will ask him, go in front. People standing will ask him to. This is the culture that we have evolved. So these are the kind of things that need revolution. The revolution has to start with the way we start thinking about basic things about our society. How do we want to organize our society as human individuals? If we don't get that right, get 100 P2Bs or 100 other great leaders, Nigeria will not even move an inch. So we have to equally revolution start thinking about society.
That's true.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me go to Alara. I know you want to say something. I see him also, but let me go to EJ. Ijoma has not just joined us. Ijoma, go ahead first.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is very simple, and it's to Mr. Franklyne, the host. Thank you for coming. I really enjoy your analysis and the way you present everything. It's for everyone to understand that I think a lot of people know what's happening in Nigeria as well. But the key point you mentioned and what really struck me to come on the line was speaking about the communication system within the elites. You mentioned dialogue, which is very, very important. In any society, in any institution, that's a key point. But my question to you is, when you look very closely and you watch very closely, these political elites in Nigeria, have you ever seen them listening to one another?
Thank you very much. They do. You know what? There was an article I did some time ago. I said that those robbing Nigeria blind, they transcend the tribes. They know each other. Watch the politicians when the cameras are off, the way they slap each other's back. They know each other. So the people, they come from PDP to APC before 2015 elections. Do you think they've not been talking? It didn't just happen overnight. These guys, they attend each other's weddings. The day Buhari's daughter wedded, every guy from every party in Nigeria was there present. Private jets were leaving Lagos in droves. So these guys are the elites that we are talking about. They visit each other. They go to each other's parties. They have each other's numbers on speed dial. Both Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, they know each other. That's the major reason why their followers will be fighting themselves to death on the streets and online. But these guys, they drink. Atiku met Tinubu and then said, Asiwaju, how are you? They communicate at a level that transcends what we see. That is the problem, okay? If they could use that platform to talk about the interests of Nigeria, what they don't understand is, if you create an opportunity for this country to move in the right direction, you will equally be saving yourself embarrassment of running to London for your health safaris. What does it take from these elites to say, let us make a health policy that Nigerian hospitals will be world class and let us work towards it? Buhari will not be coming to London to look after his ears. And if any of them has problems, it will be in a Lagos hospital. What prevents them from saying, let us fix our educational sector? We should not be spending the foreign exchange that we don't have to send our kids to London or to the United States to study. Why didn't those? Okay, I will always ask people. Angela Merkel was the chancellor of Germany for many years. George Bush was the president of the United States. How many times did he come to Lagos to buy Fensic or Panadol for his headache? But African presidents leave Africa in droves. Do you know what that means? People don't. If you analyze it to the minute details, you will see. You fly your jet, buy aviation fuel, pay staff, land at a foreign airport, pay fees for that, go to a foreign hospital, you pay the hotel people there, you pay, all these monies you are spending contributes to the local economy, it gives people jobs. You don't have it in your own country, but you are creating jobs for other people in another country. The charge which you manage as president is lying in dereliction. And it happens across Africa. Paul Biya, I met him in Geneva, he's still campaigning there, a president of a country. So this, we have to start reviewing the way we think. So it's not only that he goes to London, that's not a problem. But the problem is you waste resources promoting another country, that your kids go to school in London. You know how much you have to give the janitor in the school he attends a job because he pays for it. You have to give the teachers a job. But your universities, a lecturer, a professor in Nigerian university earns $500 a month. So I could hire about 20 of them a month. You get the, so these are the kind of issues that when you look at it, because our leaders have not gotten to the point where they think about the broader issues. If you think about the broader issues, you will see that leadership is it all. Because with an action, the civics and optics of governance, what a leader does, the clothes he wears, where is it from? You send a lot of messages to your people that locally manufactured products are good. But if you tell your people that I'm going to London to treat my ears, you have passed a vote of no confidence, not only on your health system, but on the doctors in Nigeria that they're not well trained to take care of presidential ears. What do you tell every other Nigerian that has the money? You can go abroad too to treat yourself. And we are losing money. We are not creating jobs. Our system is going bad. And then we are complaining. So these little things add up to make our country dysfunctional. So that's why people tell me, Achebe was right. Our problem is simply and squarely the failure of leadership at all levels, not only at the political level, even intellectuals. Rudolf started it out. Paikide blames African public intellectuals for not speaking out enough.
Every guy from every party in Nigeria was there present. Private jets.
Sorry, I don't know who that is, but I will try to mute everybody. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. All right, go ahead.
So that's where our problem is. Even leaders in the church, think about it from the church level. What examples are they setting? Leaders at schools, lecturers taking bribes for grades, church people, embezzling fees in their churches and then fleecing their. So at so many levels, and it's because the political leadership lets it happen. And this is why I will urge every Nigerian. You have to get involved. You have to speak out about the leadership of your country. Plato was right. The price we'll pay for allowing vagabonds in power, what Fela called vagabonds in power, is to live under the government of evil people. And we are all harvesting the results. And it's not good for any of us.
All right. So we do a few more questions. I know our guests have to leave, but where do we start? Alaro? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a quick comment so I can give room to others. Dr. Franklyne has fought a lot. Omoru, you yourself, you sacrificed, and both of you are still sacrificing. And, we talk about colonization and we talked about decades of problems we've been having. And my dear sister made a point with the word perception. So we're talking about problems of decades. She said something about perception. And I want us, everybody, most of us on this stream right now, wind back the last 24 hours. What happened? Amori, somebody's perception, their perception of your views. What happened yesterday? Don't forget that. And when we take that back and think about it, leadership is everything and not all. Accountability is 50-50. And each one of us are accountable for our actions. How do you live your life wherever you are in diaspora? What do you do when you check in at Murtala Mohammed Airport? Next election, if all goes well, what role as a person are you willing? What leadership role? Each Nigerian has to play a leadership role for this country to work. What are you willing to give? What are you willing to sacrifice? Little things go a long way. That's what I'm going to say. Dr. Franklyne, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you. I'm sure we're going to meet very soon. I'm going to leave room and I'll be listening on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Omorie, you wanted to ask a question? Not
necessarily a question. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know just add a little to what Pope Father said. that we're already united. Yeah, that's your own view. Your opinion is your own opinion. Opinion is free, but facts are sacrosanct. The facts are there that we're not as united as you may think. When injustice becomes the law, resistance definitely becomes a duty. The Nigerian system is not fair. There's no justice in the system. There's no fair play. There's no sense of belonging. After the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970, they came up with the three powerful arrows that we never obeyed. The principle of reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. How far have we gone with those principles? So, till today, the factors that led to the Nigerian Civil War, they are still confronting us today, even more. So, for you to say we are united, I know the point you're trying to make. When our Trump came to the United States of America, we met somewhere and we went various places trying to find a solution about the killings and everything. Somebody that is not in Nigeria, a congressman in America, said, we have cacophony of petitions there and there. Is there any way you people can come together so that you can speak with a common voice? I got something from there. I think that is the point Godfather was trying to make. That we should concentrate on those things that unite us as a people, than the things that divide us. Because the division will not lead us anywhere. I know if you're agitating for division, you are right, because there's injustice. When there's injustice, people were bound to agitate. But the man was like, petitions here and there, killings here and there. We have a lot of petitions from Jos, from Benue, from Kaduna, everywhere. Is there any way you people can find a way of coming together to be a vocal voice for the voiceless? So you unite yourself. So I got something for what that congressman said. Having said that, also, with all sense of humility and modesty, we're in a conference with Effiong Jr., Dr. Effiong Jr. His commission was also tailored towards this direction, that the greatest advantage our elites are using against us, have been using against us over the years, is division among us. When they gather to share our commonwealth, they don't play the ethnic card. Yeah. They don't play the religious card. They go away with their money and they laugh it off. But when it comes to the issue that has to do with all of us, they bring the religious card, Muslim, Christian, North, South, to the table to divide us and make us weaker. I think that was the point Godfather was trying to make. We, the current generation, should not throw their line. They have already set a booby trap for us. I come online, every opportunity I have. We should not fall into this trap of, you did not, the Edo man is the Igbo man's problem. The Yoruba man is the Hausa man's problem. The Igbo man is the Edo man's problem. No, we are victims of the system that is not working, that has been skewed against us. I have a lot to say in this regard, but that will not permit me. Thank you, Rudolf, once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Amori. Okay, hold on. I want to. I know, SCM. I know you want to ask a question, but we have a new person that is here to speak, so I will have to bring him in. OC, welcome to the show. Let me unmute you. Okay, OC, go ahead. You can.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's not really a question, just one or 2 points, and I want to acknowledge the guest speaker, Dr. Ogbunwezeh. I think he has done a terrific job. I haven't met him physically, but I've encountered his work, and I think he's the kind of one of those that we need in this country to put things together the way it should be. So thank you very much, and continue the good work you're doing. So just a few housekeeping points. One of these speakers asked the question about what is it that we have together, that we have to be in one country. And I'll say a lot, because we're all human beings, and we are bound by, the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Every human being of every hue and color needs that, and that's the common denominator. So not minding that, people for selfish reasons, they use ethnicity, they use religion, they use tribe and all kinds of things to divide human beings. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, which is to live this life in happiness. So let's have that at the back of the mind. Now, Nigeria is in a big mess. We all know that. And it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take concerted effort by every one of us. We don't expect it that it's just going to correct itself in a day or two. It has to be, we have to make gain incrementally, and that means everybody doing their own part. Anything that you can add in a positive way, then do it. And maybe at some point we'll be able to get to that point. So that's just one of the few things I just wanted to highlight. The journey is far, but let's keep on doing this. Let's emphasize things that brings us together, and try to eschew those ones that divide us, because there's always going to be 1,001 things that divides us. But if you live with the mindset of half full instead of half empty, then we can start to make progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, OC, for that contribution. CM.
Okay. Our guest, Dr. Ogbunwezeh, I want you to take your mind back to what you said, the example you gave earlier regarding Lagos State traffic laws. You run against or you commit a traffic offense, which is common in the Western world anywhere, and your vehicle gets impounded and auctioned. Don't you think that is too much of that is too harsh? I mean, a penalty to pay, because all over the world, like for instance here in UK, if you commit either you pay a fine, they might say pay so fine, give you a point on your license, but carrying an SUV in Nigeria, let me say a car of about 1 million naira, or even if it's 800,000, because maybe you beat the traffic, or for one reason or the other, they pound it, and they need to go and sell as it's being sold auction. Is it not better to enrich the Lagos State government by paying a fine? Maybe after 6 months, if you fail to pay the fine, or 4 months, then they can do anything. Because when you auction it, who takes the money? Is it not Lagos State government? To me, that is obtaining what they call what is it called? This chap is called about sometime in Chicago, in one book like that, they say you can't obtain a legal tax from an illegal investment or something like that. I've forgotten the chap.
Okay. Well, something that's against public policy. Okay. I get where you're going. It's not that I support the law. For me, the law, looking at Nigeria's circumstance is for me too draconian and too harsh. But the law must have teeth. Laws without sanctions is just not worth the pieces of paper in which they are drafted. Nigerians are very good in disobeying laws, actually, because the system has been, we have gotten that it's degenerated so much that people don't regard the laws as anything, because the people who make the laws are the very first ones to violate the laws. And every other person learns that, and across time, there needs to be sanctions, because the Lagos traffic is obnoxious. If you land in Lagos, the amount of time man-hours Nigerians waste in Lagos traffic is horrendous. It cannot happen in any civilized society without them finding a solution. But we have failed to find a solution. And this is one of the ways that the Lagos state government is trying to use to mitigate that disaster which Lagos roads have become. Having said that, I don't support auctioning off a car my car has been impounded in Germany, where I live, because I parked wrongly, and I started looking for my car. I called the police, and the police said, your car has been, because once the car is impounded, the police will be notified. And then I had to pay 300 euros to recover my car back. Nobody will have to sell the car because of a traffic violation. You don't need to auction off somebody. So Nigerians I appeal to the Lagos state government to review those laws, because it's causing more hardship than it solves. Because most of these people who their means of livelihoods are taken away from them will resort to crime to make bread. There's no other way to do that. So instead of increasing crime in a society, it's a government should be able to mitigate the effects of that. But those laws should have sanctions. Anybody caught violating traffic laws, because what Nigerians don't understand is that in traffic, you could lose your life in a second. It happens in a second. So if people don't obey those laws, then a society is not possible. So they should use fees to make people obey those laws. If you violate traffic regulations, you have to pay for it, like we all do across board in Europe and in the West.
All right, I'll go to Maxwell and then Ijoma, and then we will round up, unless Franklin wants to stay longer. Go ahead, Maxwell.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Rudolph, and God bless you, our guest as well. I would like to say that Nigeria. I have never seen Nigeria so divided as it is today. There is no unity anywhere. Come from the north, south, anywhere. There is no unity in Nigeria. People are not even allowed due to its religion that you've adopted. Allow the free participation of other people that don't share in that same religion, and you cannot call that unity. People can never be united in such a society. My question to you, sir, is this. Nigerians are clamoring for a change, and that change is what is, churning out the number of youth that you have on the street of Nigeria today. They want a change, and they are looking for it anxiously. They can even do anything to get that change that they are looking for and build a nation the way they want it to be. With what is going on now, the supposedly quote unquote the umpire, the independent umpire, with the volume of facts, evidence that are coming out now, and how they are manipulating the electoral register. Do you think, sir, that there will be an election 2023 with the kind of manipulation that we have seen? I hope you've seen so many of them, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get Ijoma too before you answer. Ijoma, go ahead.
Okay, thank you again. My question to Mr. Franklin is, we're rounding up.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the movement from Mr. Obi, the youth, the obedient. And you mentioned also that power can be taken from the people, from this elite, when people say to them, this is not what we want it this way. So people have to unite together to come up, to look for what they want or to get it. But also you said you travel quite a lot to Nigeria, and you said also you was there 2021, and you have listened to so many people, the local people, the normal, everyone doing their normal businesses. I found it very powerful and very good of you. But tell me, or tell us, from your own analysis, do you believe, from what you have seen on the ground, from your versatility of traveling around and knowing more what is happening in Nigeria, I don't know much, do you think there will be hope in 2023 with this movement of the youth? Thank you.
All right.
Oh, okay. I think I will unite the two questions because they are similar.
Yes.
The very first question is whether with what he called manipulation that I'm saying, whether an election is possible. I am warning INEC better not allow itself to be used by any forces to frustrate the youths of Nigeria and their aspirations for change. INEC will be well advised to conduct a free and fair elections. I don't want to imagine what will happen to Nigeria if these aspirations are frustrated come 2023. We may not have a Nigeria to talk about if that happens. Let me tell you, what is going on now is it's like damming a running water. The dam is about to be broken. Nigerian youth have been faced and fed with hopelessness. And all these years, what Nigerian youths have reacted in two ways. Those who can have left the country. Many of them are in comfortable slaveries in Europe and in America. We know that. And those who couldn't have stayed in there, and they have been suffering the indignities of this system. And there is a time in the affairs of men when people say, thus far no further. And Nigeria has gotten to that point now, from what I am seeing, from what I am hearing from the young people. If you see what happened in Ebonyi State yesterday, the police were shooting tear gas at people who are rallying for their candidate. And these young people were ready to defy. You cannot, there is a man who feels he has nothing more to lose. There is nothing you can do to him. He's more powerful than you. Nigerian youths now feel they are the position that they think that they have nothing more to lose. It is either they take their country back from those who have been running it aground, or they die trying. This is the point they are on. And the politicians who think that this is a joke, they are misreading the situation. They are misreading the temperature of these guys. Nigerian young people are angry and they are fed up. And that boils down to another thing. Somebody talks about that we are united. Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, people are clamoring for this change. You see young people in the north, young people in the west, young people in the east and south clamoring for this guy to become their president. They want something else. They want a new direction. INEC will be well advised not to frustrate these aspirations, because if it does, I don't think that Nigeria will survive this. Having said that, if you ask me, I have answered the question about hope. There is hope because young Nigerians now see that nobody will come from mass to develop Nigeria for them. It is their time to take back their country and chart its future going forward. And they are trying at it. And I give kudos to them. You know, because this is the very first time I am saying that in my young life. Oh, I witnessed Shagari's election in 79. As a kid, 83, all other elections, I have followed them closely. Never in my life have I seen this kind of movement. Unorganized, people doing it out of their own volition. Nobody is paying them. Nobody is giving them stipends to come to the streets to campaign for them. This is the very first time I'm seeing that, and this is a game changer. INEC should be well advised. Nigerians, I'm hopeful. With the youths I'm seeing today and their creativity, watch the songs, watch what they're doing with the media savviness, watch what they're doing, the way they are trying to express themselves. And this is what made me realize that there is abundant talent in Nigeria. There is abundant creativity in Nigeria. I doff my heart for the Nigerian youth. In spite of all these challenges, these guys are still standing. In spite of being shot at by the military, released by the government at Lekki in Lagos, they are still standing and saying, we want our country back. Once the people rise to that level, you better not frustrate them. Because if you stand before a moving, rushing water, you will be swept away. The old guard, they know that they are afraid. They are afraid of being swept away. But it's coming. You cannot change it. Victor Hugo said, nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. I think the idea for a change in Nigeria has come, and nothing can stop it this time. So I'm hopeful.
All right. Thank you, Franklyne. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and for all our audience members who had a chance to talk to him and contribute to this conversation, we appreciate all of you. We will say bye to Franklyne, and then we spend another 20 minutes maybe and do a recap and review. So, Franklyne, thank you so much. I'll get back to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, so we're still on air. So, what is
Maxwell?
Yes.
How's your business?
Oh, we thank God, sir. Thank you so much. Ndewo, sir. Ndewo.
No
You know you are still on air.
You are still on air, you guys. I said it. I just wanted to get a feedback from all of you about what happened. Forefathers, I'm surprised that the line of questioning you took this time, which is good. I was thinking that you have a question about when you're talking about his main platform has been the issue of insecurity in Nigeria and the danger that we are approaching what might be another genocide or a genocide in Nigeria. So I was thinking that there will be a question about how to secure the borders of Nigeria. That is never talked about when we talk about, and I thought that was your forte, that's your area. That Dr. C, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't start from the beginning, but I could tell that the topic is really generating a lot of heated exchange, and
Yes.
I am so glad to be here. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then for those who are watching, someone made a comment. I didn't want to bring the comment sections into the conversation a lot, but about the guests that we had, and if you have someone that you think is deserve to be on the show, please let me know. And if you can help us, sometimes the issue we have is how to book people, how to get people to join, to come on the show. We have requests for guests that are outstanding. Everybody you can think of, it's not like we're not trying to get them here. but we sometimes it's difficult, you know. So,
have we tried our Mustafa?
I have our Mustafa. I have a letter with him now, and he might come next week. I'm still hopeful. So yeah, everybody, I have somebody talking to him as we speak. I'm waiting for a date. I gave him some days that he could pick.
That's good.
So we are open to anybody.
I didn't know that this guy was a security expert. If I had known, you know, then I would have gone in the security distance. So I didn't know. But what I heard him talking about was more in general terms and talking about back to your tent and all those things. So that's what triggered me in that direction. That if you as an elite keep using the type of terms, that is why the people are registering that kind of a message that we are divided and this is what we should reinforce. CM was talking about these things before. The UK has a north-south divide. America has the coastal region and the hinterland distinct divide. All nations have them, but if the leaders keep reinforcing it, that is why you go in that direction. And this is why I keep saying our leaders and our elites should start moving away from that and talking about solutions, like somebody highlighted. That's why I was triggered. Maybe I was a little bit too heavy on him, but I just get frustrated when they keep saying we should go back to where we were before Europeans came. I don't understand that logic.
You see, I have always believed that every nation is a work in progress, and that work in progress, if it's a machine, what oils it is dialogue. Particularly in a country like Nigeria, where you have diversity in the best way you can think of. I'm not saying because dialogue brings out a lot. It doesn't mean that when we dialogue, we are talking about. He said you can't solve your problem, but do you know that this insecurity we have, if we keep engaging the people, like open dialogue, people are coming it doesn't mean you will hear the good, the bad, and the ugly all the time as we are talking about it, because people are having concern. Once in a while, you must learn something. But if so, something like so, for either through either knowingly or unknowingly, you foreclose, a discussion around that. No. What builds a nation building, the ingredient, the currency for building is dialogue. Dialogue with yourself, dialogue. Especially in anything, you bring it up. So as we are talking about it, people may even you may even win them over. Those you think that you can win them over and they will not see a reason. But when you foreclose it, either not without knowing it, that is when the thing now becomes combustible. People will say no, they don't feel whatever. I mean, that is where I see it. I may be wrong anyway, but that's why I believe in dialogue. We call it in any way, whether formal or informal.
Omori,
you up on leave?
Omori, go ahead.
Mic is muted. His mic was muted.
All right, Maxwell, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. I believe that in a situation where you have so many nationalities, ethnic nationalities, being boxed together in one, name, Nigeria, without the consent of the people, it is very, very problematic. And why do I say that? I said this because of my experience I had. I do not know, Godfather. I don't know how long you stayed in the north, because if you move into the northern space, you see what I am telling you. I served in the military for 18 years in that particular place. I speak most of the languages, including the native that you don't even understand, that they exist in the north. You see, so when we speak, look at what is happening over there. Now, you cannot just say that Nigeria is a very a good place for the kind of diversity that you want. Look at in the places where most of us are living today, their diversity is a blessing to them, not a curse. The Nigerian diversity looks like a curse on Nigerians. Okay, so these are some of the
blessing.
Somebody.
Go ahead, Maxwell.
Good. The diversity I see in Nigeria is not bringing development to the people, and you cannot operate in such a system. Take, for instance, elections in Ghana here. It is hard for you to see people being shot and killed due to election hooliganism. It doesn't happen. The latest one that happened after the election here was security people shooting dead, I think about 4 people. And they are paying the price as we speak right now. We go to election as if you're going to your farm. And all my stay in Nigeria, both in the army and civil, I've never seen a fair and transparent election in that country. Most of the political heavy, stalwarts has come out. Most of them have come out to explain that Nigerian elections are not transparent. How do you lead? How do you hold them, those people that you are not elected, that came into the system through fraud? How do you want to hold them accountable? How can you hold them accountable? These are some of the things. Leadership, the system as well. Leadership is a different thing. And the system also that they are operating is another thing. And that is where I have my problem. That is the system. I always say on this platform that the system that is being operated in Nigeria today is not a system that is geared towards developing that country, rather bringing it down. And Nigeria is going down if something tangible is not done. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We have people who just joined us. Omori, you wanted to say something? Go ahead. Omori, go ahead. You're muted, Omori. Okay, go ahead.
You meet? Okay. Sorry, I had some technical issues earlier. Yeah. Somebody mentioned of elite trying to preach unity than division. They can't preach unity because it benefits them. They profiteer from it. If there is anything they learn very well, no matter how intellectually hollow or morally bankrupt you think they are good at taking advantage of our division. It works for them. So they can never preach anything, whether in the mosque, whether in the mall, in the church, wherever they find themselves. They don't want us to come together because they know when we come together, their end is near. So this is my worry about the current, generation, our own generation. We cannot continue to wail every time. We cannot continue to complain every 4 years. So you see one thing. We are playing the kind of wrong politics we have been playing. This is the problem we have. A lot of us here supporting Obi today. We were at one time or the other, 2014 and 15 supporting, 2019 supporting Atiku Abubakar. For one reason or the other, I can't even explain. Either on religious trial, tribal trial, or political affiliation. So we are making the same mistake our forefathers have made. So it will continue unabated. So the issue is, we should not continue to fall into the booby traps they have set for us. So the earlier we get this, that we are all victims of this system that is not working, it's better for all of us. Or else we continue to wait forever. We continue to wait and nothing will happen. We go nowhere. So my point is, if they divide us, you remember how we were conquered by the colonial imperialists. They came, they surveyed the land. They didn't want to spend their own money. They have to utilize the existing traditional institutions where necessary. Areas where they could not find, they tried to create modern chiefs, which met with stiff resistance one way or the other. Like you complain about the North today. They were loyal, they were submissive to their traditional institutions, and they were easy to conquer. That is the divide and rule system. Our current crop of politicians inherited from the colonial imperialists. It works for them. When we are divided, we are weaker. They make us weaker so that they can conquer us. They try to, they separate Rudolf from CM. They tell Rudolf some sweet things to make you feel they love you. They don't like you. They go to CM and tell CM, oh, Rudolf, be careful of Rudolf. It doesn't mean well for you. You will not remember to come together because they know if you come together, their end is near. So this is the same mistake we are making. Let's stop dividing ourselves. Let's start to concentrate on those things that can unite us as a people. There's a lot we can gain from our unity. There's a lot we can gain from our diversity if properly managed. So look at what is happening now, for example. Do you know NAS are supposed to be on the same side with ASU today? Does not even know what the ASU chairman is saying. He doesn't know. He's not picking his call. Probably he was planted there by politicians to divide the ranks of students. We had strikes in my time, but we could not tolerate this nonsense. We could move from Akuma to Maiduguri. We could move from Benue to Lagos. We could move from Lagos to Enugu just to fight for our fellow students. And when we call, the VCs will answer. If they don't, there will be no peace until we leave. They will be willing to listen to us. When we enter, they will rise. They will rise. They give us ovation because when we come out, will be meaningful. It will be helpful for the students. It will be helpful for them for peace to reign. So I was listening to a NAS president one day. I was disappointed. Is this the kind of NAS leadership we have in Nigeria these days? We are driving from Akodi to we had an exam on Tuesday. There was a meeting. There was a conference. There was a panel that was set up to look into the cases of students that were executed from Maiduguri. NAS president then Moses Osakede had an exam on Tuesday. We're supposed to take up on Monday. We were supposed to have an exam Tuesday, Wednesday. Moses said to us, "What do?" We said, "Okay, are you willing to miss your exam? These exams are very necessary. It's not something we want to joke with." He came back after 10 minutes and said, "We have to go. If we miss this opportunity, those people may not be, those students that we expect unnecessarily may not be reinstated. But if we miss our exams, we could write our exams as carryovers." We're like, "Moses." Okay, he said, "No sacrifice for the cause you believe in." So we set out for the journey. Unfortunately, we had accident on the way. Moses did not return to write his exam. But one good thing, those students that we expect, they reinstated. Today, they can never forget Moses Osakede. So these are the things that, we didn't care whether they were from Edo, whether they were from Yoruba. There were people that didn't even know. Until the last came, I didn't know who and who we are instigated. We were just going as a body. I need to read to one, I need to read to all. This is what we are lacking today. NAS president is not aware of what is happening. He's even on the side of the politicians. He's even speaking against us and is fighting for their future. How do we move on like that as a nation? They are associated in dividing us on religious, political, and whatever means possible. We cannot continue like this. If you talk of division, you talk of agitation, you are right, because there's injustice. But if you are giving your own country today, I bet you, the same evil you inherited in the Nigerian system will go there with you. And it will but to summarize it all, there is strength in unity. There's a lot we can do together. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Rudolf, you're muted.
Sorry, Dr. C, go ahead. We'll get to James and Son of God. Osi, you are muted.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Omori. Your passion is very palpable, and I think I tend to align with most of your opinion. Maxwell, I actually don't believe that. Yeah, greetings. Yeah, I actually don't believe that our problem is diversity. No, you're not going to get any democrats in the world, the successful ones, that you're just going to have one homogeneous unit where everybody is the same. The United States, where I'm calling from, it's almost like a mini United Nations. You can find every ethnic nationalities here. Some don't even speak English. But at the end of the day, they are held by the common thread. Everybody is held to the same account, literally. So that if you commit a crime, if you subject everybody to the same condition, namely, they all derive the same benefit or something close to that. If you commit a crime, you get persecuted. Then it doesn't even matter if, you have 1 million ethnic nationalities. The problem we have in Nigeria is the fact that those who pretend their face, i.e. our leaders, they profit off from our division, which is what Mr. Omori is talking about. India, a nation with more than 1 billion people, they have more than 800 and something language. And yes, somebody mentioned that they are together because they all speak Hindu. That is not true. In India, actually, Hindu is very popular, of course, but you also have like I mean, as a religion, but you also have Sikhs, you know, you also have Muslims who actually believe they are being persecuted. But again, India is still regarded as one of the successful democracies in the world. So the problem is not our diversity. And I could bet you that even if you divide Nigeria on using any parameters you meet, as soon as those units go out on their own, some people will start to agitate again. Because that is just human nature. There's always going to be one difference between one person and another. Even the family units, there's always going to be some division. Some people clinging to their mom's side, some clinging to the dad's side. So that is not our problem, you know. I know it seems like that. Now, one of the big silver lining with this P2B presidency is that is actually breeding a group of Nigerians that are looking beyond religion, that are looking beyond tribe, that are actually trying to put all those primordial divisions, which is what the politicians used to hold us down, they are rising above that. And that is what we should all try to emphasize. Try to reach out. Somebody talked about, having the dialogue. Yes, we have to talk. We have to talk because there's a lot of stereotypes going on in Nigeria. Am I still being heard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of stereotypes going on in Nigeria. If you go to the East, from my experience, anybody who outside of Benue is regarded as an outside Fulani, which is not true. If you go to the North, they have these stereotypes about Igbo that everybody wants to be a 419 or not. And that is because we haven't been talking to each other. We haven't been listening to one another. We've always been relying on what is being fed by one politician who is trying to use that for whatever pecuniary gain. The issue of Boko Haram, if you remember correctly, it became at the time, it was crushed. But it was during one electioneering campaign, somebody wanted to be a governor, and all of a sudden, they started to recruit those Boko Haram elements, and the monster grew from there, and we couldn't get out from there. Because people are sowing divisions, trying to say, oh, these are Christians, we have to maintain this. So please, I would advise that we'll do all possible to emphasize on those commonalities that every human being aspires to. Let us do away with the issue of tribe, religion, and all those kind of things. It just fits on the pockets of those positions. It doesn't help an ordinary Nigerian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, OC. I wanted us to end that too. All right, I'll get to hear from Son of God and then James, and then we call it a day. Son of God, go ahead.
Hello, yeah, thank you for having me again. I'm not quite sure if I got the thread of what you guys are speaking about, but I think you're talking about security. And can you just give me like a summary? Because I just jumped in now. I'm not very obvious. Obviously, I've picked up a few things from what people have said. If you just give me like a 30-second summary. So
No, we had a guest earlier. We had a guest who joined the show. So we're doing a recap of what we had and what we discussed. And that was the idea. But if you have anything you want to talk about, that's okay. You can
Okay, I think I had a little bit of the guy. Okay, I think I know who you are talking about. Anyway, from what people have said, I mean, my only contribution here is that talking about how the politicians have used division to hold the country back. I think what the problem of Nigeria, I know some people have said that the reason why there are problems is because we have so many tribes and you can't really have people from different ethnic nationalities or whatever together. Well, I know that the way Nigeria was put together in the very first place was not quite right. But what is happening now is that the politicians have, over the years, I think if you look back, if we had good governance, if we actually had good people in place, people who would come in and use the resources of the country to do good for the masses, I don't think those differences between people will be so pronounced. I think the reason why people continue to speak about it is that obviously the people from the north, because of how they've wielded power, they've not actually used power because they've been in charge for most of the time. they've not actually used power in the right way, and they've marginalized some particular parts of the country. And even in their own place, you discover that people, the poor people there, like the Talakawas and all those people, they actually have the highest concentration of poor people in the north, which is a bit surprising. Even though they've had power for a long time, they still have so many people that are. So you cannot really say that they have used it for the benefit of their own people. But what tends to happen is that the political class, what they do is that they've weaponized poverty. I mean, Mr. Mori was speaking about student union agitations and all that in the past, what it was like. What you find that those days, speaking about in the 80s and 90s, then poverty was not as bad as it is now. Now things are so bad now that you can basically everybody has a price now. So it's more difficult now to have people who actually stand for the truth, because they feel that everybody has a price, and what they tend to do is that they buy people over. So it's difficult for people to remain true to their to themselves now because of the way they've weaponized poverty. And they use that. Okay, I'll stop here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we are totally out of time. I have to run. James, just 1 minute, please. Summary. Go
1
ahead.
minute.
Yeah.
No, I better do it with me.
I know. I'm sorry.
The problem is I don't know when you are online.
Yesterday.
James,
James, can you please send? James, please resend your. I had your number, but I couldn't put it in the emailing list before I misplaced it. It's somewhere here. Please resend your number, okay? I will send you. I'm sorry. Yesterday we were on for 7 hours, so I have something I have to do immediately. I'm so sorry. But I thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I know 1 minute is nothing for you, but.
You can give me just 5 minutes. No, just give me 5 minutes.
There's someone waiting for me out here.
Okay, buy us beer and send. We could carry up the money the way for you.
What is this?
James, this is what I will do for you.
Coffee.
This is what I will do for you, okay? When we are off air, you can hang out with people here. You can talk to them for as long as you want. But I have to get off the air and do some things.
That is my number. 220 is the Gambian.
Send it through the some people will write you now. Send it through the private message. I'll get it. Yeah, private. Don't read the number.
It's in the private chat.
Okay, I'll get it. Gary, how are you? Welcome to the show. Gary, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Welcome to the show. I don't think I've seen you before. Have you joined us before? This is
my first time, but I'll just follow up with your damages program.
Thank you.
Where you are damaging all our president brain.
Thank you. All right. So I appreciate everybody, but unfortunately I have to go. But thank you, Gary. Next time, okay? Next Saturday, please. Everybody who can join us next Saturday, we have 4 hours with the presidential candidate. At what time? At 11 a.m. New York.
No, sorry, Nigerian time.
4 p.m. Nigeria. 4 p.m. So he's giving us 4 hours to question him. Any question from anybody. So let's come and challenge these people and see if he has something to give the country. All right. But we have to go, and I really, really appreciate everybody that joined us. Maxwell, thank you so much. CM, thank you. Forefathers, thank you. OC, Gary, James, Omorie, and Son of God. And we'll see you guys.
Rudolph, that stipulation you did for, hold on.
I'll talk at the end.
Okay.